I'm poet and writer Kay Spivey. I just wanted to take a minute to chat and catch up, have a drink with you. This is not tea, this is raspberry lemonade because it is a nice hot summer day. I just wanted to chat basically today, talk about what I've been up to. When I was sitting down trying to figure out what to film for today, I looked at like what the top videos are, what like the most engagement is, just to kind of like test the waters, see where the Authortube community is at. And like so many of the videos are about like, is Authortube dead or not? I feel like it's not really a case of like, is Authortube dead, or like, has Twitter killed young adult or anything like that. It's more of a case of like, as an entire world, we had a chance last year to really put some things into perspective. One of the things that got put into perspective was very much the way that publishing works, the way that publishing runs. And I think we had a lot of time to kind of all sit with like personal reflection on that topic, and also to have some really engaged community engagement. What word am I looking for here? Some really engaged community discussions about it, and like some really good channels popped up in the last year that really go in depth into the things people are talking about. Like Twitter popped off in the last year, really got in depth about criticism, and then like the critique of criticism itself. Like we have come full circle. It's getting like the conversation has gotten really nuanced, it's gotten really toxic, it's gotten less toxic, like it's gone all over the place. A lot of it is just simply like, a lot of people had the time to put things into perspective for the first time. So I don't think it's so much that like Authortube is dying. It's like we're kind of moving into a new course. I think the usefulness of what was Authortube previously is starting to kind of diminish. More engaging content is now out there. There are better platforms for things like doing live streaming. There are people who do live streaming type videos very, very well. There are people who do like craft content very, very well. But then also the discussion of like what is useful and what is not useful craft content really came to light. And people continue discussing it, and for the most part, like I'm no longer using YouTube for craft content. A lot of interest is still like within the publishing industry, but even there, like so much of it has to be taken with a grain of salt. So much of the advice applies to like some situations and not others. And for a while it was really fun to like watch more and more people and engage with more and more content to kind of get a more full picture. But I think for a lot of people, like you end up following all these channels, you don't necessarily like all of them, you kind of get to a point where you start to unfollow some channels, you kind of lose interest or lose faith in the community. And I think it's a natural course. Like I don't think this is like a new strange thing. I think a lot of new people are coming into the community. I think there's more engagement than ever. I think being able to find your niche and really like shine in that area is something that is like thriving right now. People who have a very specific niche, who bring something unique to the community, are thriving at this moment. I don't think it was ever a community that was going to get like millions and millions of views per video. Like that was never going to happen. And even people who found very popular models, like we're not that cool, you guys. We're still sitting at the corner table. We are not the popular crowd. We're still the nerds. I think some of the discussion comes up because like it seems like we should be cooler by now. And there's a lot of issues kind of back and forth where people are like, hey, they're like, publishing is trying to make more opportunities. Oh, they're not making opportunities for a diverse crowd of booktubers. Oh, they're not making opportunities for a diverse crowd of authors. And then they're not putting their money anywhere. And then they're sending all their money to TikTok. And it's just like, I think a lot of people get discouraged very easily. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if you're not here just for the love of being on YouTube, I don't think it's a good place. I don't think it's a safe space. I don't think it's a healthy space for someone who doesn't just enjoy making YouTube content, who doesn't like find some kind of solace in it, who doesn't like the content that they're putting out for one reason or another. If you feel kind of boxed in, then it's not healthy. And if you feel like you're not getting the kind of engagement that you would want, like you gotta lower your standards on that one. Like if you wanted high engagement, you gotta go like play whatever video game is popular right now and stream that, because this is not the place for that kind of thing. I mean, to be fair, like, I'm not watching a lot of Authortube right now. I'm not watching any Authortube right now. My watch later has filled back up again. We were under 100 videos. We are now well over 100. But the reason for that, for me, is BTS. The only content I want to consume right now is BTS related. Like, the only people I want to talk to are people who want to talk to me about BTS. Like, I just have so many feelings. There's so much content out there. Like, I just want to keep consuming it because it's making me happy. Like, it's also making me write a lot of poetry. I feel like, especially for me, when I'm listening to songs that are in a different language, it just is super inspiring. One of the ones that I just keep writing poems when I'm listening to is Microcosmosis by BTS. It's just such a beautiful song. I just love it. And, you know, like, listening to it, reading the translation of the lyrics, loving it, but then just like, because I don't understand the words that they're saying for most of the song, the emotion is what I really focus in on. And then when the song ends, I keep feeling that emotion, like it's still built up inside of me. So I'm not even writing like anything related to their song, but I want to write so many poems. I want to express the feeling in my own words. And so I've been writing a lot of poetry actually recently. Poems, like, I had been in kind of a poetry dearth for a long time, like writing one a month or having to go back into my backlog of poems that I hadn't done anything with when I was compiling my poetry collection, because I didn't have a lot of like fresh new content. Yeah, recently it's just like, it's like non-stop. And I think some of it is that I'm able to like go back into the creative spirit. Like, I'm not strictly following a bedtime. I'm not stressed out about work all of the time. I'm able to just kind of focus on myself a little bit more, which has been both healthy and unhealthy. I've kind of let it slide both directions just because I haven't had this kind of freedom in quite a while. It seems like it's doing so much for my like creative brain. Like, I'm just having so much time to focus on projects that I want to. Like, my brain wants to write poetry again. Like, I feel poems coming back to me all the time, and a lot of that is like listening to beautiful music written by other people. And it helps that the boys are so pretty. Like, holy crap, that's a pretty bunch of boys. I don't know, I need the serotonin that they're giving me. Oh shoot, a friend of mine is playing Fire Emblem and I've been directing her. I told her she's got to join the Golden Deer House for reasons that I went over at length in a video, because I do what I want on this channel. Too much of the way people kind of approach Authortube is for monetary gain. And I think that is the secret end goal for most people. I think most people want to monetize their channel, want to make a living off of YouTube, want to do it in a genre that they're interested in, want to be able to sell a book, want to be able to market themselves. Like, that is the intention of most people. They come in with the illusion that that is going to be something achievable and easy. I think it's the same reason people like try and drop out of high school to be YouTubers to begin with. Like, it's not an easy path. Anytime you see someone succeeding, like succeeding well, like doing very well, they had a little bit of luck on their side, honestly. Like, you can do a lot of work and you can do a lot of studying, you put a lot of money behind it, but a little bit of it is still luck. You can't gauge for that like Beatles moment. You can't predict when something is going to be the next big thing, because there are plenty of amazing things out there. Like, you could be creating great content. You could have it all. You could be funny, you could have great camera, lighting, sound setup, you could have won the genetic lottery and be gorgeous, you could, you know, just be doing everything and still have almost no views on your channel. And it's like, there's not a ton of ways to fix that, and you could be working your butt off and not really get anywhere. That's just the reality. Like, this is a shot in the dark, this is a luck thing. Like, the unfortunate truth is that a lot of people don't make a living off of creative endeavors, and like, that sucks. We all want to be resistant to it. I want to be resistant to it. I want to believe that through this channel and through writing I can make a living, but like, in a realistic sense, most of us can't. Most people don't. Unfortunately, the world is not really set up for that. And so it's nice to like see people who are succeeding. There have been many things said about like celebrities and like whether or not they earn their money or anything, but I think there's a lot to be said for seeing somebody else who has put in some time and effort and work and seeing them succeed where so many people didn't. Like, BTS is worldwide popular, like topping charts, doing all these things, but they're not by far the only K-pop group. They're definitely not the only K-pop group who's worked hard. They're not the only K-pop group who's been gorgeous and talented and had great songs. And they hit that moment of luck. They hit one specific thing at one specific moment in time, and there are going to be many people who do that throughout history. There have always been many people who do that exact thing throughout history, where they just hit that moment of the spark of luck. And some of them burn out quickly, and some of them make lifelong careers out of it. But like, not everybody gets that. I don't think it means people shouldn't dream for it. I don't think it means people shouldn't strive for it and try hard. And I think people do succeed to an extent by trying hard on its own, or by having talent on its own sometimes. But I do think that that luck moment is like, it's so much of it. It's absolutely like, you could put your foot in the door a million times, but if you don't do it at exactly the right moment, it won't have mattered. And sometimes someone puts their foot in the door one time at the exact right time, and they do so much better than you who might have put your foot in the door 100 times, you know? When you're in a field that runs off of creativity rather than merit, you can't really be in it for anything but love. Like, you have to be doing something that you believe in. You have to be doing something for a reason that isn't monetary, because if it is only monetary, obviously it's gonna seem like this community sucks, or you've been lied to, or whatever else. It can get really discouraging, and especially somewhere like YouTube where it's very solitary. It can feel like you're part of a big community, but it's a very solitary act. It's a solitary kind of engagement. Like, I can feel like you've been betrayed in some ways, or it can feel like the community isn't what it used to be, because you saw these like bright shiny lights and then you flew towards them, and it turned out, you know, it was just one candle in the wind. And I swear there's no alcohol in this drink. I don't know why I'm getting so morose. It's just like thinking about like this is Authortube dead situation, and like all the things people have been talking about on Twitter, and like I've had to really step away. Especially with Twitter, it's like 100 problems a minute over there. And for a while it was like, yeah, interesting, like give me the chisme, like I'm so into it. But it doesn't stop. And a lot of it, the more you look into it, the more it's stupid, and the more people will talk about things and kind of like change your mindset on something where it's like, wait a second, like why do I suddenly think like this one fairly normal thing is like horrible now? It's like, oh, because that's what people are talking about over there, but like it's actually not that big a deal. And it's absolutely crazy. Like, I've had to really step away. If Twitter is imploding, we've imploded it on ourselves. It's not a platform set up for the kind of meaningful discussions that people are trying to have over there. Surprisingly, Tumblr is. Tumblr is a great platform for those kind of things. Like, you go back over there and people will be having a conversation that started like 10 years ago, and now it's got like facts to back it up. It's gone in depth. Like, you can put this in an encyclopedia. There's so much nuance to the discussion. Twitter is not set up the same way. It's one of those things where like, we were all so engaged with it last year because it was just a trash fire a minute last year. It was so many disasters were happening in 2020. It just didn't stop, and at some point you have to burn out on all of that. Like, you become numb to it. And I don't think Twitter is a healthy place, and I cannot keep up with all the drama, and I cannot keep up with all the YouTube drama because it keeps coming and going. I can't keep up with a lot of it. Like, I'm not interested. All I want to see is pretty boys dancing very well, okay? That's all I want. So I think when it comes down to it, there has always been an illusion with the internet that, and it's an illusion that people have built up over time. I feel like especially in like the last maybe 5 years, people have really built up this illusion of the internet being a place where like your dreams can come true. It's very like new Hollywood. Like, you just work hard, you just put in the effort, you put in the time, you get the followers, you get success. Like, that's the formula. But the reality is everyone's kind of trying to do that, and nobody is reading what other people are saying. It's sort of like, okay, with the Authortube community, it had very much become a place where like we were all kind of preaching to the choir. It was very much like Authortubers talking to other Authortubers about Authortube content, and there isn't a lot of appeal to that. Like even for booktubers, I feel like a lot of the appeal was very narrowly focused on other people within the same community, and that is a really fun place to be. That's a great place to be. But when people come into that thinking that then they're gonna gain like a ton of followers just for like engaging within the community, like that's not how you get followers exactly. It just isn't. You gotta engage with people from outside of the clique too. Like obviously I'm not like the main person to talk about this. I don't have that many subscribers, but it's partly because I just kind of do what I want over here. Like this is just the Case Vibey show. If I want to talk about something writing related, because that's my interest and my passion and like what I went to school for, what I'm trying to do for a living, even though, you know, I haven't had a lot of energy to put forth towards it. These are the things I've seen, and I've got the subscribers I've got from just consistently posting and, you know, unapologetically putting out videos that don't really fit with the channel. I had an entire video about Fire Emblem. Who knows, I might put out an entire video about BTS. The army would come for me if I did. I don't know enough yet. I'm not quite that far in, but I'm getting there. It's hard to exist like within your own bubble and not just within your own bubble, if that makes any sense. Like you have to just be in your own space, doing your own thing, not really worried about what's going on around you, but then also like not letting yourself become an echo chamber, not letting your community become an echo chamber, not becoming an echo chamber of the community. There's a lot of unhealthy practices online that don't get policed in the same way that the same kind of unhealthy practices would get policed in a IRL community. You know, I talked about this with censorship and the fact that the way people call out censorship online is so stupid. If it was in a real life group meeting, like community meeting, there are like rules and social norms and like things that are and aren't okay, and like you would kick someone out of the social group if they were like horrifically violating those terms, and yet so many platforms are like, oh no, we don't censor free speech. And you're like, okay, but like if you don't get rid of people harassing other people, like you're not creating a community, you're not creating a safe place for people, you're not, like it's not censorship. That's not at all what it is, to just be like, hey, you can't send death threats on our platform. Hey, you can't use that word on our platform. Like, hey, you can't be, you know, inciting a coup on our platform. And for it to like get to that point, this just this year, this is only a few months ago, like the Twitter had to be like, ooh, maybe we should stop letting people incite coups. And then it was like a big deal. People were like, oh my god, censorship. Like, it isn't what censorship is. Like, come on. If we were all like meeting together at a church and someone was like, oh, I hate this thing that you're all for, you'd be like, freaking get out of our church. It boggles the mind how people will turn something that has nothing to do with anything into something like that. I don't know. Oh, this is just a rambly video. I should have had alcohol and then this would make more sense. This is literally just raspberry lemonade. You probably don't believe me at this point. There's nobody here who can prove it. So anyway, what have you been up to this summer? How do you feel about the general feeling of Authortube these days? Like, what kind of content are you watching? Like, literally all I'm watching is like BTS music videos, run BTS, fan clips of the boys. Nothing else is getting. Actually, I watched a Blackpink video as well. They slipped in between the cracks. I'm also, now that I've been watching so much BTS, like all I want is Korean food all the time. They're constantly making and eating Korean food, so I'm gonna make some bibimbap. Thanks for listening to this rant. Hopefully this is a cohesive enough video that I can actually put it up and I don't have to film something else right after this. But this has been fun. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great summer. I will be doing a reading with Shelley Flowers. We'll be doing a buddy read live show for the Anatomy of Story. So don't miss out on that. Link for that will be down below. And I hope you are having a great summer. I've probably said that like 12 times now. We're burning down over here. Still everything is always on fire and probably always will be because of climate change. do your part to help out the environment. Whatever changes you can make to your life, make those changes, because it does help. Every little bit helps. And good luck to you. Good luck to all of us. I will talk to you again soon. Bye.